Action roguelikes, a genre famous for its fame. These games have spawned like roaches since the release of Vampire Survivors, and they have to be one of the craziest case studies in gaming history, due to the many psychological aspects that go into what it means to enjoy them and what makes them feel so rewarding despite it taking less skill than a church corruption. But I can break this down into 3 little words for you. Where we are not rewarded in the short-term rewards and having the dread of the long-term stuff, like a hug from dad after the eventual bottled-up conversation awaiting its debut in 20 years. The time awaited in the side gamer stasis chamber waiting for it to break up for 3 years. A 2-week notice stretch listening to that fucking friar speak Morse code, which by the way, I asked Reddit r/Morse code what it could possibly mean when it beeps. They kept flagging my posts, so in my one attempt to ever use Reddit, I learned that I am not welcomed on the interwebs and I am an unwholesome chungus who knows no updoots. There is no better short-term reward than colorful shit singing to you saying, "You've earned this," every 5 seconds, for doing the bare minimum. And this is how these games dominate the current small creator market. But Riot Games, with this insane move, are now the largest scale company to take on this innovative genre. As much of a mortar monkey, empty knit cart, Dasani water shit show Riot Games has proven to be, you can't deny their ability to take an existing genre and make something beautiful out of it, that people will stick around for. We got Dota into League of Legends, Auto Chess into Teamfight Tactics, CSGO into Valorant, Texas Hold'em into Legends of Runeterra, and many more unoriginal ideas they've got for them to build and make something great on. And now on the Conquest roadmap, the occupation of the state of action roguelike has came to be. And how do they do, you ask? I would pay them a monthly fee of $500 fucking Ari skins to never bring this shit back. Despite the feeling in mi corazón, I've played it to completion. Remember those 3 words I gave you earlier? Yeah, guess whose fat ass they sent Cupid to gun down. Bad as these games ever seem to be, you can't deny this shit is like pizza. Who the fuck isn't going to eat pizza? They got the bread, they got the cheese, they got the evil tomatoes, and they got the especially evil ingredient some places use.
Cause I love MSG, it's the king of flavor.
The core mechanics can't not be here. You walk around collecting balls to make the happy stuff show up faster and get the achievements that make the happy stuff show up even faster. Rinse and repeat. So yeah, of course this shit is going to keep me playing, but it lacks in so many other aspects. But foist, we're going to get into the positives. Design and sound is there. Like, it can't not be. This is Riot Games. If they got one thing down, it's how shit looks and sounds. With that and the core gameplay components, you can count on half of a hand. I mean, like, what else do you really need? There are actually insanely fun power-ups ranging from do this to make, do this to make, do this to make, and do this to make. Velvet Quest and Yumi Quest are sometimes fun additions, but can be equal part run enders where you know you're gonna stub your toe. But remember, that toe cells seethe over stub chads. And try bouncing that stupid fucking beach ball anyways. The cons. Temporary game modes in League of Legends have a reputation of entertaining you for a few days and then flipping a switch of please get it away from me. But there is once in a while where Riot brings you an idea and you think, wait! Hold the shell phone. This has potential. Only for them to rip your Christmas present out of your hands, slap you and say no, this isn't yours anymore, and have it thrown into the garbage disposal before your very eyes. Jesus Christ. Potential as an actual permanent idea has such talent and budget backing it that it could become an absolute shining star or something to play time and time again, and knowing it's gonna die for probably forever, it's just, I don't know, it's just really disappointing to think about. I feel like I subconsciously rushed to complete this game's content only to be done with it and have zero attachment for it when it's time to go. And I guess it's working. This mode feels so utterly incomplete, like this is a building block for so much more than what's provided. The mode also feels like it's a beta test stage due to the lack of polish and abundance of issues, and it's just gonna, in the end, be a woman you love dearly, took to the taqueria you've been going to with your family your whole life, shared laughs, and a personal conversation over an empty soju for you to wake up to be blocked on everything without a word. Riot Games and Bugs are a bond like protagonist and antagonist rivalry. You simply can't get away from these 2 ingredients. Briar being unable to move, Quest not tracking properly, unable to revive teammates that are clearly within a safe spot to do so, camera angles not letting you see the boss fight, packet loss from a little too many Yasuo tornadoes, discrimination against affordable Wi-Fi, finishing Yumi Quest even though it told me I failed in big red letters. The last bug is kinda good, but you know, that's just to name a few. This is a defining factor in many of these games, being able to make a new idea for powering up, run after run, making it fun is crucial in its replayability. This game is by far the worst throughout the many action roguelikes I've sunk hours into. A lot of these stats come in such limited quantities and for such a grind. Who wants only 2 more projectiles for the cost of affordable California living? Why are some of these so plentiful and others so starved? Why do you not only give me, but let me see the limitation of my ability? Who the fuck wants limits? You're telling me for the long time I play this, I only get to see my characters do this at max potential? I want to be able to see this shit. Yeah, check this out. Fast forward this. See? Now this is more like it. Not only the out of game, but the in game? 2 projectile cards for 1 more pew? 2 equals 1? Who's doing the math? 2 equals 2 until I want it to equal more, probably. Limited slots? Am I supposed to watch someone kiss my husband until it's my turn? 5 rolls max? Charmins come in packs of 30 at Costco. Good reviews. Anima Power only offers a quarter pounder of the stats with none of the fries or the drink. Why are you tiptoeing around giving me more fun? All the games that are beloved for unlimited scaling and others that offer limited power but give a good excuse for it, how did Riot not fucking lore accurate LeBron into the Halo ring-sized hoop on this? Limited scaling option that just offers slightly easier runs. That's it. No more features, no secrets, just that. I could go on and on, but Swarms does not deserve an egregious video link, so for my next segment, I'll be helping you minimize your time spent playing this by tier listing the characters and a couple things to say about items and augments, so get ready to agree or disagree with me. Before I get into this, I need you all to keep in mind that this list is entirely altered due to the existence of fucking Ice Blast. This ability is obscenely good, and you're being a little too silly for not having this every game. I'm rating these characters from an overall standpoint from every phase of difficulty, skill tree upgrades, maps, bosses, utility, item flexibility, and enjoyment, and mixing it all together to fix my rating. First character, Jinx. I think Jinx is like a highly misunderstood character. I hear a bunch of negative talk about her and see other tier lists rank her like really low, so hear me out. Early game Jinx is the cash cow, right? Running around breaking boxes and getting gold to maximize passive power. It's what she's like good for, and later stages she makes use of anything that shoots a lot and really fast to burst enemies down on top of an already strong passive and abilities to do so. She's made more fun with a decent amount of power-up options and abilities, and even secondary abilities. The ability is that AoE enemies work well on her to proc her passive. However, I don't see her as the best DPS option, but she's flexible in solo or co-op and has something to offer at any stage in the game while being fun options, you know, zooming around, attacking things at super fucking stupid fast rates of speed. I don't know, she's alright. B tier. Seraphine. Seraphine is by far the strongest early character of the bunch as a DPS option and only ramps up over time. Who wouldn't want to be the bullet hell, right? Slap on any ability regardless of damage that shoots more things and it's just a good idea, and they're hard not to come across. You can for real like clutch out many situations with her kit, turning sure death into victories. And her usage of many power-ups are of good use. She's simple yet effective while being fun. I highly enjoy this character. A tier. Leona. Leona is a deceptive option, listed as a tank, but I find myself needing to run damage and crit to get effectiveness out of this character while I also needing to still be a tank. Leona can be a strong option if luck is on your side. One piece, out of line on items and power-ups, and it feels like utter shit. She's the worst hyper tank option of the tanky and sustaining champions, with a kit that for some reason is more useful for DPS reasons. She struggles a ton early on and is a burden on co-op. She is as boring as an Arctic Monkeys concert after a pre-game of communion crackers and White Claw. A character not worth your time, but has her uses, I guess. C tier. Alawi. Alawi is pretty much mid or low in all aspects. Nothing really like wows you about her. She's a little bit like Leona too, but unlike Leona, whose kit does half-assed damage, Alawi hits a little bit harder while having a little bit more ability diversity and less need of luck for power-ups. She still struggles in early stages of the out-of-game upgrade tree, but later on being able to output a market crash of tentacle toys is pretty fun to see, and nuke bosses given you have most of the tools. B tier. Briar. If it wasn't apparent enough that this game wasn't playtested enough, all of the issues in the game that lead to something bad definitely means that there is room for error that should have at least one issue. Briar is literally perfect in any scenario, fitting any role, using any map, any Damage, sustain abilities, augments, difficulties. 99% of the time, you're making a good fucking choice picking Briar. You could argue she's selfish in her kit and provides nothing. If you're stupid! Is it really useless utility in co-op if 3 people can leave their computer, make a fucking sourdough, come back to a victory screen because she can compensate the damage alone while completely taking care of herself? Is it useless if she can teleport herself with her R to go solo quests, revive, and pick up upgrade cards? One Briar in a team of 3 other what the fuck evers is an optimal decision every time. S tier, Yasuo. Yasuo would be placed higher if he didn't have some goofy issues. His kit is absolutely laughable with a dash that can kill you if Ice Blast isn't up, and his wind wall 50% of the time doesn't add much usefulness to the scenario unless you're blocking some Aatrox swords or the consequences of a lack of gun laws. Odds are if you find yourself desperately needing the wind wall in the first place, you're probably just going to die anyways from being too weak in the long run. Aside from that, the true power of Yasuo comes from his passive. Pair any ability that can crit with projectiles and damage and you'll be the Grim Reaper of Kansas. Yasuo can make such an insane mess of things that you'll crit so much anyone with a graphics card should put a bounty on your head. The packet loss you cause is pretty funny but can be a run ender and gets really old really fast. Fun character and one of the more essential for fast boss damage. Top of B tier. Riven. Riven is the weirdest one of the bunch. Like, I find myself running the most cursed build imaginable, but somehow most of them work. It's a fun time drag racing around the map, dunking constantly, but Riven has quite a few issues. Her boss damage is mid at best, and she struggles to survive due to most bosses not having hordes of enemies to farm shield. Her awkward movement with a lot of movement speed makes some quests a nightmare. It feels so janky to speed around with her, and her abilities are quite forgetful. Her damage and variety though are there overall, so she has her uses. She's simply the worst boss killer in the game, but I can't deny the success I've somehow had on her. Bottom of B tier. Aurora. I mean, like, Aurora shows the lack of fucks given about this mode, but in polar opposite of Briar. Take all the bad components of every character and these negatives plus negatives equal not positives, but instead March of the Penguins for the Game Boy Advanced. Selfish and personally useless kit that only provides the one real useful tool being her invulnerable. A weird ass knock-up that specializes in gray screen. The worst designed weapon of any action roguelike, like that is counterintuitive in having you awkwardly aim it manually for the reward of rubber band gun damage. These spirits that might as well be puffles. I still have zero fucking clue what abilities and augments are even perfect for her also. She's a chore for solo and a burden in co-op. You think she'd at least be fun, but this weird Yumi thing she has going on in her attack is all you can really notice due to the needing to pay attention to it all while having mediocre options in gameplay and being the worst DPS option for DPS. Fucking F tier. Xayah. A character I hardly hear anything about for some reason, probably due to her being overshadowed by Briar and people enjoying complaining about the shit that sucks. Xayah falls into this gray area that is so undeserved. If you have any trace of wrinkle on your juicy brain, you know how to line up her feathers and destroy a boss in record time. Xayah by far has the quickest time on elite enemies, mini bosses, and main bosses in the game. Combo this with cooldown or duration, and you can set up the biggest amount of bursts with her E and R imaginable. Xayah, on top of being an assassin, is a team player. Run her with EXP and make use of her feather option to pull orbs from seemingly nowhere. She's fun due to her one-shots and knowing you're a carry on your team, and the kit overall just feels fucking buttery. Second of S tier. As for items and power-ups, I feel almost no need to tier these. Maybe I've just been in the genre for too long and I have a general sense of how things go, but I feel like as you just read and understand the character, you simply know the answer as it pops up. You may not come out in the end with an S tier pro player choice, but if you're doing just a bit of thinking, you'll have something viable in terms of build. Alright, so I think Swarms is a game mode that I see as having near unlimited potential that I feel will never be tapped into. I get that it's temporary and like basically a promo for a new skin line, but playing it and knowing there's so much more that can be done is just always in the back of my mind. Seeing it go before obvious improvements and additions could be made, it's just sad. There is no variety in character choices. Variety even lacks within those limited choices. Characters might have the exact same purpose, others just unplayable, and others you should be playing. Upgrade limitations are what keep this mode from being saved and squeezing the most fun from this mode as possible. Finally, I say this about every action roguelike because it's commonplace. The balancing doesn't need to be everything. Constant patches of nerfing, buffing, adjustments, like bugs even, But at the same time, I expect a level of understanding in the design to release a finished project with a level of balance where certain aspects don't feel like requirements to avoid bad encounters and can survive with existing issues. When these things make you think too long about them, it makes you eventually in the end want to never pick it up again and put it down for good. Swarms gets a well-deserved 3 out of 10. Bye bye.